And so
Discover the best-kept secrets from the leading entrepreneurs across the globe. Learn from the greatest minds in business with the MyCoda podcast. Here's your host, Sam Payne.
Hello and welcome to the MyCoda podcast. Sam Payne here, and it is a pleasure to be speaking to you today on the show. Now, today's guest is Ray Higdon, and I first heard of Ray through a mutual friend of mine, Rick, and Rick invited me up to Manchester, and I attended an event that his company were hosting, and it was all on network marketing. And Ray is the absolute guru. He is Yoda when it comes to network marketing. He is the man to go to if you want to know how to effectively do this. But for myself personally, I mean, I wasn't really sure even or 100% sure what network marketing was, or the benefits of it, or how awesome it'd be to build a really cool sales team underneath you, or how awesome it'd be to push so many really beneficial products out to people that can genuinely help them. And when I spoke to Ray after the event, he was so helpful, and he was so willing to come on the show and speak to you guys, because he's just all about giving value. Because on the day, I mean, I've been to a lot of networking events, and he spent the best part of 2.5 hours just dropping value bomb after value bomb after value bomb, golden nuggets everywhere. And then he literally spent 2 minutes selling a program, which naturally, and rightly so, a lot of people invested in. But Ray was there to give value, which is why I was so excited to get him on the show. So I'm not going to talk any longer on this intro, guys. We're going to get straight into this one. This is the MyCoda podcast with Ray Higdon. Enjoy. What's up, everybody? Sam Payne here, and welcome to the MyCoda podcast. Now, today's guest is someone that I saw speaking at a networking event in Manchester, and he was just incredible. So I was so excited to get him on the show. Today we have Ray Higdon from rayhigdon.com. Ray, how are we doing today?
doing well.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on. So before we kick things off, though, for the people out there that may not be familiar with you, could you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and what it is you do?
Yeah. We provide coaching and training to the home business arena. So we work with a lot of solopreneurs, network marketers, direct sales, et cetera. And, we teach them modern and proven strategies to grow their business online and offline.
Awesome. And the theme of this podcast is all about business startups. And I'd love to get everyone's backstory just to see how they started out. So take us back, Ray. I mean, what made you decide to become an entrepreneur, and was you always this way inclined?
Yeah, I think I've always had kind of entrepreneurial blood running through me, but I just didn't know how to access it or what to do with it, because no one around me was an entrepreneur. My parents weren't. I don't know if any of my family was, so I really just didn't know what to do with it. So, when I was in middle school, I was selling candy. I was selling 90 to 100 pieces of candy every day, and I would trade comics for money, and I did all kinds of different things that are maybe not normal as a kid. The real reason that I became an entrepreneur, though, full-time is, I'd worked my way up the corporate world and was making a good salary, but, the more they paid me, the more that they demanded of me. And I was just spending more time with pictures of my kids than the real thing. And I realized that I didn't like that, and there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And I looked at my boss and his boss and her boss, and they were all miserable. And I just saw a scenario that I didn't want to continue. And so I, jumped out of corporate world back in April of 2005 and started my entrepreneurial journey.
And, I love that story, because a lot of people often go back to a point, and the point which was that turning point for them was the family life and just not having a balance at all. And one thing that I loved when you was talking in Manchester was the story you told about how things have changed from when you was in the corporate world of your sons to how things are now with your new daughter. I mean, I can relate. I've got a 10-month-old son myself, so when you said that, I could completely relate to what you're saying, because even though running your own business is very time-consuming and can be stressful, it still offers more flexibility than if you was in a corporate environment, right? So, I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, could you just tell us a little bit more about how things have changed from when you had your sons? I mean, it's nearly 10 years ago you had your sons now. Am I right in saying that?
Well, I have one 18-year-old and I have one 17-year-old.
Wow.
So one is now in his first year of college, and the other one is a junior in high school. So he's still finishing up that. And then my daughter is 11 months old this month, and so yeah, it's really night and day. People say, "Oh, you're doing it over," and I'm really not, because when they were first born, I had 3 jobs. I barely saw them, and I had to work to make ends meet and pay the bills. And sometimes that didn't happen. But it was just a different world. Now, we travel all over the world. We bring our daughter with us, and sometimes the sons too. But we're bringing her with us. So tomorrow we actually head off to Cancun for a buddy's birthday, and then we stop by Texas. But yeah, she's definitely experienced a different life than my boys did when they were young. I mean, she's been on a private jet. She's been on 80-foot yachts. She's definitely had the high life in her short time frame.
Oh yeah, Matt, she's a high roller at 11 months old.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So, moving on to network marketing. I mean, for guys that aren't really familiar with this, what is it, and who is it for?
Who is network marketing for? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So, if someone says to you, what is network marketing, and who is it for?
So, network marketing is something that a lot of people do on the side. Some may never intend to do it full time, but it's something that, if you find a product or a service that you really like, they basically, instead of hiring, Beyonce or J-Lo or whoever, Richard Branson to do their commercials and things, they basically pay the field. So they actually pay people to go out and tell others about the product or service, and you can get compensated nicely. It's something that you can do extremely part-time, or just be a customer, or you can have at it, full-time. It's something that, I had tried in years before and didn't really have a lot of success with it. But when I lost it all in the real estate market and was dead broke, I decided that my credit was shot. I didn't have hardly any money. I decided that I was going to give it a kind of a second go. And so gave it a go, and actually ended up becoming the number one income earner in a company, doing over $1 million in commissions. And since then, we actually no longer actively build a network marketing company, but instead we coach and train for the profession as a whole.
That's incredible. I mean, to go from not really grasping it to becoming over a 7-figure earner in the industry is just amazing. So what changed for you from the first time to the second time?
It was really me. Some people would say, "Oh, was it a better company or a better opportunity?" Really, the real truth is that I changed. Whereas I had tried it before, if I'm being honest, I really wasn't coachable. I didn't invest in myself. I didn't get around the right people to show me how to do it. Second time around, I really had no options. I had to make this thing work, and so I did. A lot of times people join a network marketing company and they don't really give it their all, or it's just kind of an option to them. That wasn't the case for me. I wanted to really flex and get out of debt and get out of foreclosure, and was able to do that. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I mean, there must have been a moment going through this a second time where you thought, my God, I think I've actually nailed this. I mean, what was that point where you thought, no, this is it. I've actually found my calling. I've found something that works, and this is something I'm going to continue with for the rest of my life?
It might have been when, after I lost it all, after I lost every dime I ever made my whole life and was dead broke in foreclosure, that changes a person. And, I was very leery to spend any amount of money at all. So I was kind of a hoarder of, any money we'd make. I'm just like hoarding it because I'm just so worried about losing it again. Yeah. But my girlfriend, who had stood by me all this time and paid my utility bills when times were tough, I wanted to marry her, and I wanted to reward her for sticking by me, through thick and thin and when times were tough. And so I wanted to have a nice honeymoon. And so I just went out and said, all right, what's the nicest place on the planet? And we looked at, Maldives, we looked at Bora Bora, and I decided on Fiji. And so this trip to Fiji was the most money I had put out in years and years and years and years and years. And so I was so nervous about it that, I think like the day before and heck, maybe even the day after our wedding, I was doing webinars, I was doing prospecting calls, I was just working my butt off because I was so worried about this big chunk of money leaving my bank account. But what was wild is, we go out to Fiji, and we were there, I think 11 days, I believe, and just doing everything. If there was anything to do, we did it. We didn't think about money. We just had at it. And we were at some of the nicest, we were at Tony Robbins Resort, which is called Namale. We went to Liku Liku Lagoon. We went to where they filmed what's that Tom Hanks movie? Castaway. Yeah. Went to where they filmed that, went to all these cool, really amazing places, amazing snorkeling and diving. And but what was wild is I came back home, checked the mailbox, and I had made more money during that time than we had spent.
Wow. That's
and so I thought to myself, now, who would like to travel to the most exotic places in the world and make more money than they spend? That would be everybody. And so to me, that's something that I never experienced in any other career or business that I ever did. And so me, it just kind of, relit the fire and just said, man, this is definitely the profession to be in. And so, yeah, I never judge anybody, if they're not in it or if they have negative thoughts about it or whatever. I mean, to each his own. Most of the times they've been turned off by a network marketer versus the actual practice of network marketing. And, it's okay. So I don't think everyone should be in it. If you don't have a good attitude and if you're not coachable and you think you know it all, then network marketing more than likely isn't going to work out for you. If you think it's easy, like a scratch-off lottery ticket or overnight or, get rich quick, then it's also not going to work out for you, so just save your money. But if you look at it as, this is another profession that I could do part-time and whenever I want, then that's a great attitude to come into it and come in coachable with the right attitude, and you'll probably do all right.
Yeah. I mean, firstly, just congratulations on what you achieved there, because that must be such an awesome feeling, going away, having the best honeymoon, coming back and you've got more money than you went with. I mean, that's just incredible. And you touched on there a point which I'd like to go into, actually, because you do a lot of work with guys in this industry. And do you find that one of the main issues is people are looking for that quick result, that quick return on their investment?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with how they were invited, so we're trying to educate network marketers to just be more professional and be smarter about how they approach people. If you've been told that, hey, first month you should be making 10,000 pounds or $10,000 a month, then if you come in with that expectation and you don't hit that, which is extremely likely, then you're going to be turned off. But if you were brought in under the right circumstances and said, hey, this is something that, you can make some extra money with in your part-time that doesn't interfere with what you're doing, that's a much healthier way to come in. So, the people that, and this is true of anything, if someone tells you, this diet, you're going to lose 10 pounds tomorrow, and you don't, and you only lose 6, well, you're like, oh man, this thing doesn't work. So it's just like with anything, if you start a job and they say, hey, we're going to triple your income or triple your salary in the first 30 days, and they don't, then you're going to quit that too. So it's just all the world revolves around expectations. What can they expect to happen? What are the requirements to make those things happen? If those things aren't clear or if they're stretched or hypey, then the person more than likely isn't going to last because they won't take the time to educate themselves on reality.
Absolutely. And when we spoke about this interview and you agreed to it, I started ringing around a few of the guys in the industry. I said, look, I'm interviewing Ray, and everyone got really excited about it, actually. And I said, look, have you got any questions? Have you got anything that's on top of your brain which you want me to ask Ray? And it was funny because a lot of the same sort of similar questions come out, and it all seemed to evolve around, okay, when they first got into the industry, they would have loved to have known how to go out and just prospect properly, how to recruit and build a killer team. I mean, can you go into that in a bit more detail and just really break down a few processes that people getting into the industry could use that could really work for them?
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the big things is, sometimes people come into the, into the profession and they're like, all right, how many people do I have to recruit? Right. And that's really just the wrong attitude. I mean, would I ever start a pizza restaurant and say, all right, how many pizzas do I need to sell?
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, well, if you're making pizzas, sell them every day and sell them for the rest of your life, until someone buys out your restaurant or something. If I'm a lawyer, I never say, well, how many people do I have to defend? If I'm a doctor, I never say, how many people do I need to heal? But in network marketing, people are looking for what's the bare bone minimum that I need to do to get an amazing result. And so first, embrace the idea that it's long-term. So this is a profession. Yes, I believe it's a shortcut to make leveraged money, but there is no shortcut to the shortcut. Money comes from humans and people. So you have to, get out there and talk to people and introduce them to the concept. That would be number one. Number two, know that some people that you bring in aren't going to crush it or make a ton of money, but that doesn't mean they're unhappy. Over the years, I had tens of thousands of happy customers that never made money, but they were happy getting the product. They liked it. And that's okay. In any other profession, if someone's just happy getting a product, then no one bothers them. But in this profession, sometimes the leader will beat them up for not making enough money or not doing the work, and that's just not smart. So, if you make someone feel bad and they're a happy customer, then they'll just become a non-customer. They'll get off auto ship and they'll slink away because they don't want to disappoint you. So just understand that some people that come in are just going to be totally happy as customers, or they may not have huge income goals, and that's okay. Number three is, if someone really wants to build a team and become a top earner in the profession, what you did before network marketing is going to contribute to how quickly you have success. If you are someone that has kept your word, that has great relationships, that's worked on your education, that has, integrity and a great attitude, and you always have, you're probably going to come in and be rewarded very quickly, right? Mm-hmm. So we have people that come in and, talk to people that trust them and like them, and, they join right away. If you have been more of a taker, if you've been someone that would ask for a favor but never return it, if you're someone that, would tell someone that you'll see them at the birthday party but you don't show, if you, are asked for help and you say you'll give it but you don't actually show up, you're probably going to be punished. And, so when you come in, you're not going to have easy signups or people saying, oh man, I'd love to work with you. The good news is, regardless of how you come in, there's always hope. I know people that came in with, friends that didn't trust them or even like them, and they improved themselves. They worked on their education, and they progressed and became a top earner. So it's not a requirement that you've led, a great life full of integrity and awesomeness. That'll never hurt you for sure. It will help you, but it's not a requirement. So, it's something that people can actually come into this profession and change the way they show up in the world and go out there and crush it.
No, that's incredible advice. And I suppose that last point, it would differ, wouldn't it, from warm leads and cold leads? I mean, if you're going purely down the cold lead route, no one really knows you anyway. So I suppose that's where it makes a difference, right?
Yeah, certainly. I know people that have built entire empires from cold market, and and that's fine. You never have to go to your warm market. I mean, I just tell people that, if you like what you're doing and you think it helps people, then why wouldn't you at least collect a decision and see if they're open? We teach people you don't have to close everybody you talk to. That's kind of weird. Just see if they're open. If they're open, show them what it is. If they're not, don't worry about it and move on to the next person. But yeah, you can absolutely build an entire empire from cold market. My wife, for example, she built at the age of 20, she built a $10,000 a month income just from connecting with people on Facebook she didn't know. Wow. And she would just reach out to them. She would start a little conversation and, would take it from there. So, more people said no than yes, but enough people said yes that she created a pretty substantial income.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know anyone that would say no to 10 grand a month.
Everyone likes that part.
Yeah, exactly. And it was interesting. You said like people that are open. And one thing I picked up on and I found very beneficial from your talk in Manchester was the use of language and how that can be key to actually bringing someone on or not having someone on board in your team. So could you just break down a few key phrases people could use after listening to this show when prospecting, and which could help them convert a few more people onto their team?
Yeah, for sure. I think first of all, the mindset of I don't need to close everyone. I just need to find out who's open. That would be one major step forward. Number two, I always use this little phrase because it doesn't raise much resistance, and that is, hey, I'm just curious, would you be at all open to a side project if it didn't interfere with what you're doing? And so there's a lot of psychology built into that little phrase. Would you be open, right? So I say, would you be open, not would you be interested? See, not everyone wants to, not everyone's going to say that they're interested in anything. But most people don't want to not be open. So when you say, hey, if I said, hey, are you an open-minded person? It would be very difficult. Even the most closed-minded person would be like, oh, yeah, totally.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so people don't want to not be open. So I use that versus interested. If I said, hey, would you be at all interested? Very easy to say, nah, not interested. But it's hard. It's actually hard for people to say, no, I'm not open, because it doesn't feel good. It's not a good label. People want to be open. And so would you be at all open to a side project? Now, some people would say, well, Ray, I want full-time pit bull builders. And, you may get to, pit bull full-time builders, but most people, it's very hard for them to imagine, oh, you would like me to switch my career? Oh, sure. Most people aren't ready to just leave whatever career or job that they have and just go at something that they know absolutely nothing about. And so, I say, a side project, because if you take yourself out of the mindset of knowing that it's network marketing, if you're a normal person and someone says, hey, would you be open to a side project, make a little bit extra money? I think most of us would say, well, what is it? Or at least we would have an openness. We may not agree right away, but we'd say, well, what is it? And let me hear more. Versus no thanks. Like, I don't think most people would just say no thanks at all. They might say, well, what is it? It depends. Okay, so I'm trying to get, some moving forward, something that's not going to raise resistance to cause them to say no. So, would you be at all open to a side project? And then this is for all the people that tell you that they're busy. You say that wouldn't interfere with what you're currently doing. So that's you answering an objection up front. So I'm covering an objection up front in my little question. And so if they come back and say, oh, I work full time, and I say, oh my goodness, I apologize. We actually mainly work with people that work full time. It actually won't interfere with that. So I have a built-in objection right there. So, a lot of psychology in that one little line that I've used, and, that's helped me recruit hundreds and hundreds of people.
And when you're recruiting, what sort of techniques have worked best for you? Do you send them to a lead page with a video, or do you send them an email? What's the best way you found this works? Well,
if I'm meeting them and it's like, cold market, so like out and about, I'm going to grab their information so that I can follow up with them. And so I would never give my business card or a link or anything like that to somebody, because things happen. They get home, the house is a mess, or the dog ran outside, or the fish died, or the daughter had a bicycle accident, or there's always things going on. So I found in this profession, business cards are pretty much worthless because no one will ever follow up with you. So instead of being armed with business cards, I'm armed with empty pockets, and I'll take their information, but I usually don't give them mine because they won't follow up, even if they want it. And I've had people, I've been blessed to share the stage with a lot of people, Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown, Brendan Burchard, Gary Vaynerchuk, and lots of more. And I've had people after a speech, come up to me and say, oh my God, that was awesome. I so want to, how can we connect? Do you have a business card? I'd love to call you and reach out to you. And I give it to them and they never reach out. Yeah. So that's someone like saying, I want to communicate with you, And they don't, because life happens. So I know that I am a follow-up machine. And so when I take their information, I will 100% always follow up with them. And that doesn't mean that all of them, join or buy something or whatever, but it does mean I'm going to have the power to reach out to them. I'm not going to sit by the phone and hope that they call.
Yeah. Now, again, incredible. I love that where you said you don't go have any cars, but you go have empty pockets. I think that's a great quote. And the fact that something as simple as just following up, I mean, it's such an unsexy answer that no one expects, I suppose, but something that simple can be that effective, right?
Yep.
And so the guys have gone through a process where they've managed to recruit a small team and it's slowly growing. How can they then retain these people? What techniques have you taught and you use that really work well for you to retain the team as well as growing it?
Yeah, I mean, the real thing that retains people in anything is community. The reason that people go to the same church for years and years and years is typically community. They feel good when they go there. They like the vision of where people are going. Maybe they participate in the bake sales and the different education, et cetera. People stay going somewhere mainly for the community. So they may come in for some other reason, but they usually stick around for community. So having a community of recognition, of education, of being based in vision of what's the purpose? Like, what are we doing here? What are we hoping to accomplish? Making people feel good, and the right ones that opt for this, making some feel challenged. Some people do want to feel challenged, and having an environment where they can be challenged if that's what they want. If they don't want that, then they should not be challenged, and they should be respected and appreciated and recognized and acknowledged and made to feel good about being part of the community. If you want more growth, then you being the inspiration by doing the things you wish they would do is probably the most important.
And you say about building a community and educating. I mean, ways in which you do that. Are we talking about Facebook groups, webinars, Facebook Lives? I mean, what are some ways which people could use to do this?
Facebook groups for sure, barbecues, team hangouts, pool parties, all of these things, Facebook Lives, whatever connects the different members of the team together. We've done it all. We've, rented beach condos and invited the whole team over. We invited them to birthday parties, had pool parties, barbecues, lots and lots of digital, webinars and training and conference calls, etc. Just whatever you're doing to connect people to a, unified message that makes them feel good and makes them feel like they're part of something bigger than them.
Awesome advice again. And so, one thing that a lot of people were asking me to ask really was they struggle with juggling time between continuing to prospect and bringing more people on the team and actually investing the time needed to look after the guys that are currently in their team. So how do you advise guys to sort of split this time up how do you advise them to split this time up and what should they be spending more time on?
Yeah, it's real easy and common for a leader to get into management mode. And, you get a team of 4, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, whatever. And then you say, okay, well, I got plenty of people now. Let me just step up in the lifeguard chair and coach them on what to do. And that represents a different energy, and it's not good for the team. The best thing you can do for the team is build a new one. And, the best thing you can do for the team is you go out and keep recruiting. So you have to have a percentage of your day, no matter what level you're at, that you continue to recruit. And I have friends that have teams of over 300,000 people. They don't need to recruit, but they still do. And the reason is they want to be an inspiration to the team and they still believe in what they're doing. Yeah. If you believe in your good product or service, why wouldn't you tell more people about it? It makes no sense. And so, they still recruit. They don't need to. The rest of their life, they're, pretty much taken care of. But they still do that because they want to show the team that this is how you run a large organization. And that inspires them. And it also, if you believe in what you're doing, why wouldn't you tell more people?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And Ray, we're sort of coming to the end of the interview now, and it's just flown by. We could ask you so many more questions, but we're very aware that your time is precious, and we're very thankful for you coming on today. So before we wrap this up, have you got any parting words of wisdom for the listeners of the show?
Yeah, if this kind of interview resonates with you, then I would highly suggest checking out my blog. I've been doing it for 7 years, almost 5,000 blog posts, almost 7 years of free training at rayhigdon.com. That's RAYHIGDON.com. The reality is no one interview or no one training is going to make you a geared up and ready for massive success in network marketing. So you do got to work on yourself pretty consistently and daily, hopefully. And you can do some of that on our blog.
Awesome. So, guys, the link to Ray's website will be in the show notes below. And Ray, what is the best way for people to get in touch?
Yeah, Facebook. We have our Facebook page, almost 200,000 fans at facebook.com/Ray Higdon page.
Awesome. Ray, thank you so much for coming on today. You gave a ton of value there, and I'm so happy you come on because I know the listeners would have got a lot from that show. So thank you for your time today and featuring on our show.
You got it, my friend. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, and there it is. Ray, just one last time, a massive thank you for coming on the show today. Guys, if you wasn't sure what network marketing was, or you was on the fence and not sure whether it's something you should get involved with, because if you're around or in this industry, you would have been approached at some point, or you've been prospected at some point by someone wanting to get you on their team. Now, it does feel like a scam at times. Even I can admit that I thought, I'm not really sure if this is for me. But after speaking with Ray, he has really highlighted the benefits of doing this. And do you know what? It's something I would definitely consider in the future now. So, Ray, thank you so much for coming on, because you've just highlighted exactly why people should be getting involved with network marketing and how it can help them. So, guys, if you want to know more about what Ray's been talking about today, check out the links in the show notes below. You've got rayhigdon.com. You've also got Ray on his Facebook page. Ray is super approachable, very friendly, and very willing to help. So by all means, hit him up on his email or his Facebook page, and he will get back to you and help you in whatever way he can. And guys, I've been doing a lot of work lately with one-to-one clients. And one thing that is very obvious to me was people are struggling with just the basics of business, just establishing or clarifying an idea, processing that idea, making sense of it, making some sort of business plan out of it, establishing who your target market is, what their needs are, how you can fulfill those needs with products, services, how to get your brand right, all this stuff that comes into just basically laying a solid foundation for a business. So with that in mind, I did set up a 10-step business foundation course. And this will get you up and running with a solid business foundation in 10 days if you go day by day. But it's just 10 steps. You've got video tutorials, guys. You've got downloadable PDFs with all the show notes. You've got further video tutorials on stuff that I mentioned within each segment. And also a 42 question handbook, or ebook, should we say. And that just highlights 42 questions you can use, powerful questions you can use when approaching people about setting up your business, about overcoming challenges within your business. And if you ask these questions, it should really get you to open up your mind and start thinking in ways which are going to highlight, resolutions to your problems. Okay, so guys, check that out. Okay, the link for that is in the show notes below for the 10-step business foundation course. That is completely free, and it's just a way for me to give you something which you can use as a blueprint when you're going through the validation stage of any business, product, or service. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a pleasure presenting this show for you. My name's Sam Payne. This has been the MyCoda podcast, and I'll see you next time on the show.